The Prime Minister was saying that he wants to restore the aid budget to 0.7% of GDP and to get defence back up to, or to get defence up to 3% of GDP. This implies a much bigger state, and even with strong growth, it seems not remotely possible within the fiscal rules without big tax cut rises or big spending cuts. Do you agree?
We set out a clear plan for taking defence spending to 2.5% of GDP by 2027, and that will be funded by cuts in overseas development assistance. That is the right thing to do, given the threats we face from Russia on the continent of Europe. A strong economy depends on strong national security and strong defence, which is why we've made that decision to invest in our defence capability.
But beyond, for the next Parliament, it would be 3% of defence spending is the ambition, and that's when it would get more difficult within the fiscal rules and without big cuts or big tax rises.
The Prime Minister was really clear yesterday. Yes, we want to take defence spending to 3% of GDP, given the threats that we face, but that will be dependent on economic and fiscal circumstances and also military need. But we've set out that fully funded, fully costed plan in the next 2 years to take defence spending to 2.5% of GDP, to improve our national security and to make our economy and our country stronger.
The Prime Minister is going to be meeting President Trump on Thursday. You have just increased defence spending, which is obviously what he would like. Do we hope to get anything in return? Do we hope, for example, for him to withdraw the threats of 20% tariffs, if possible?
We've increased defence spending to improve the security of Britain, and it's in our national interest to do that. The Prime Minister will be meeting President Trump to discuss a range of issues, but it is important that right across Europe we increase spending on defence to play our full part within NATO and to keep the continent of Europe safe against Russian aggression. In terms of the future trading relationship between the UK and the US, last time that President Trump was in the White House, trade and investment between our two countries increased, and I have every confidence that that can happen again, and I know that the Prime Minister looks forward to talking about those issues and many others in his meetings with Donald Trump tomorrow.
Obviously there is talk about a peace deal in Ukraine within weeks, the US hope. Would that be good for growth globally? Would it be good for growth in the UK? Is this something you'd be hoping for?
I set out in my G20 contribution at the Finance Ministers' meeting today the importance of peace, but a just and durable peace. And that is what the people of Ukraine need and deserve, and that is what will contribute to a stronger economy. The human sacrifice in Ukraine has been immense, but of course Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine has also placed a heavy burden on the global economy, with higher energy prices, higher food prices and disruption to global trade. But first and foremost, this is about protecting the sovereignty of Ukraine and protecting the security of Europe.
But you think a peace dividend might bring a growth dividend as well?
Well, there's no doubt been the case that Russia's invasion of Ukraine has played a role in the higher inflation and the weaker growth that we've seen. But it is essential that it's a just and a durable peace if we are to get the benefits both for Ukraine and indeed for the global economy.
We've had to slash our aid budget to afford the defence spending. The US are doing the same. Sweden, France, Germany, they're also reducing their aid spending. Does this mean that the West has given up on the developing world?
The world has changed hugely in just the last few years since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It's a wake-up call to countries around the world, but particularly in Europe, and it's right that we have increased spending on defence to take us to 2.5% of GDP. It is a fully costed and a fully funded plan. It's in our national interest to do so, and that is why we're taking that action.
Do you think it's a risk that China and Russia possibly could fill the gap if we leave, if we take our foot off the pedal for development assistance in the developing world?
I think it's important that countries play their full role in both providing defence and in providing aid. Britain has made the decision, the right decision, to protect our national security, to strengthen our defence in the face of Russian aggression, and that's why we've increased defence spending, are increasing defence spending to 2.5% of GDP. That's the choice that we have made. It's in the national interest, it's also good for the economy, because a strong economy depends on strong defence and strong security.
And just finally then, you've had 2 OBR forecast rounds. Can you confirm that the March 26th fiscal event will not be the fiscal event? It will just be a group of OBR forecasts as you originally said it would be?
But the Office of Budget Responsibility are going through their process at the moment in terms of providing a forecast. I'm not going to give a running commentary on that, but I will respond to it on the 26th of March. And the fiscal rules that I set out in the budget in October that Parliament have endorsed are non-negotiable, and we will take whatever action is necessary to continue to meet those fiscal rules.
So not ruling out a possible fiscal event?
I'm not going to provide a running commentary on the ongoing OBR forecast. We took the action that was necessary in October to put our public finances on a firm footing. But whatever the OBR say in March, I am very clear. We need to go further and faster to grow our economy, and further and faster to improve and reform our public services, including improving productivity in our public services.